1470 WWNN. What you want to know. What you need to know. This is South Florida's Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470 WNN.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, here on trentovision.tv on the 25th, January 25, 2013. Good to be alive today, you know. Better than pushing up daisies, for sure. We are alive and well in Boca Raton, Florida. Beautiful place to be in the country, particularly when the country is frozen.
Cold.
Frozen. One of our guests, whom we will introduce in a moment, spends part of the time up north. What's the temperature where you're from right now, up north?
Oh, it's about 8 degrees.
About 8 degrees. Good. You know, you're making me cold being in the same room with me here right now. So I can feel the cold, but
I can feel the warmth.
We will bring you the warmth for sure. We have a fascinating show today on trentovision.tv. That's the video side. We're doing some cool, pretty high-tech stuff here at the Beasley Broadcasting World Headquarters, somewhere in Boca Raton, Florida. And we're so glad that you folks are with us, both on the video side, watching the show, and on the radio side. On the radio side, we're on WNN 1470. So if you're driving in your automobile right now going, what the heck is this stuff? Well, you're on 1470 on the right-hand side of your dial, and we're going from North Miami. We've had folks in Orlando. That's 200 miles listening to the show. We cover quite a bit of ground, not only geographically, but geopolitically. And our work, as you know, deals with national security issues, both outside the homeland and within the homeland. And in that context, we have a whole variety of subtopics. Like yesterday, we were dealing with a balanced budget amendment, the debt ceiling, because we firmly believe, in order for the United States, we firmly believe, unlike this president, unlike this monarch who was coronated at the beginning of this week, we firmly believe that the national security strength for our country is contingent upon a strong, sound economic policy. You cannot have half the country producing and the other half taking. That doesn't work. So we are obstructionists to this administration and the many Caesars that have lined up around President Obama. And if you've noticed, a lot of the rats are fleeing the deck of the USS Obama. And there's a reshuffling, and our sources tell us the reshuffling is part of the little echo coming in somewhere. The reshuffling of the cabinet deck is a reshuffling to the left, folks, to the hard left. The president spent 4 years letting everybody kind of get used to him. And now what he's doing is he's saying, hey, I got a majority. I got nothing to worry about. I am semi-immortal. I am immune to anything. I ain't running for anything again unless I figure out a way to run for a third term. I'm bringing my boys in. We're going to reconfigure America in our image, which doesn't bode well for Israel. Our first hour, we're going to be speaking about some serious issues right here in Boca Raton, where we have some renegade rabbi who is taking a position that is diametrically opposed to the essence of what the nation of Israel is all about. And there's been a controversy brewing for about 6 months with this particular rabbi. We have would you be the protagonist or the antagonist in this
I'm
drama?
considered the villain.
The villain. We have the villain of our first hour in studio. Some of you know him. He's a good friend of ours. He's in a knockdown, drag-out battle with a rabbi who has taken a unique political position. And our critique today is going to be of the political position of this rabbi. I don't know much about his religious views and all of that, and that's not our area of critique. But, we tell it as it is here. We have no censorship on this show. We have our opinion. If somebody disagrees with us, they can call us up, 888-565-1470. But if you do that, you ought to have some information or facts to back up whatever your position may be, for or against. So the first hour, we're going to show you a little battle going on in Boca Raton, right where we are. That reverberates to a little city, 49 square miles, 7,000 miles from here. That is really the epicenter of the targeting of a lot of bad guys nowadays. That little city has a wall that's still standing. I think that's symbolic of the strength of this nation of 12, 14, 15 million people. So we're going to get into that in the first hour. In the second hour, we have some fascinating information coming from a Muslim. We're doing Jewish stuff the first hour, Muslim stuff the second hour. Second hour, we have a gentleman coming on who's got a very high profile. His name is M.D. Alam, M.D. Rabbi Alam. I don't know what the rabbi's all about. But he lives in Missouri. Missouri? How do you say that? Missouri? Missouri?
Missouri.
Missouri. He lives in Missouri. He actually ran for Secretary of State a couple of years ago, got 40,000 votes.
Oh, that's quite impressive.
In doing that. He had a press conference in Manhattan. You're a New York guy, villain. We're going to call you the villain. He had a press conference yesterday in Manhattan, and he is organizing M.D. Alam, second hour, 4 to 5. He is organizing a million-man Muslim march, or million Muslim march, not just for men. A million Muslim march on Ground Zero for September 11, 2013. He wants to bring 1 million Muslims down to Ground Zero. And I don't know why. We're going to find out why he wants to do that.
Do they want to finish the job?
I don't know. I don't. That's not nice, CJ.
Do you know who his backers are?
CJ.
We're going to find out all of that. I don't know. I don't want to tell too much right now.
We are very open-minded here, so
Yes.
don't.
Yes.
No, it was. That's why I asked it as a question. I didn't. It was a
Be
question.
open-minded
It's a good
here.
question.
Don't
We'll
be
ask him.
open-minded.
I don't
ask-
know. I just think it's. I mean, it sounds off the top of my head like pretty bizarre.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, it's a march. It's not a vigil honoring the victims of 9/11.
Maybe it is. I
A
don't know.
march kind of sounds a little bit antagonistic.
Marchy, a little marchy.
Yeah.
Well, this gentleman, M.D. Alam, he's done quite a bit. He's a pretty impressive individual, and but we'll talk to him. He's Skyping in. So he will be right here on your
Did he run
computers.
as an independent, a Republican, or a Democrat?
I do not know
Okay,
that.
that's
a good
interesting.
question. Yeah, very good question. Maybe he ran. Well, we're going to wait. We're going to wait for the second hour. We got an hour. You don't want the guy to.
I can't wait.
Look, I
Okay.
have a little screen.
Yes.
How do you make it big?
Oh, you hit the little. I don't know. There's no big button there.
There's no big button.
Oh yeah, it's missing on Trento Vision. We have it. Oh, I should tell everybody we have a new website.
We're experimenting, trying
Yeah.
our new beta site. So you guys are the first experimental ones of today.
She
so-
found the first error in it.
Yeah.
We
Well,
can't.
you can actually correct that by hitting your Control++ button to fix it.
Oh.
Where
Make
is
your-
Control plus
Oh,
plus?
okay.
Do you have to
Where
hit?
the control key is and the plus key is.
Okay, well, I
Okay.
did that and nothing happened.
Okay. Well, Mark will check that out. But let's go. Oh, you got the two shot. Okay. That's the villain right there in the shot with CJ with a microphone in front of her face. There we go. CJ, Mark is here, Mike is here, and the villain is here. We'll introduce him in a second. But let me tell you a little bit, if you're tuning in for the first time, about TrentoVision.tv. Trento Vision is my vision of the world. And we have a team that shares some of that vision, if not most of the vision. And we simply want to tell it as it is, as it relates to issues dealing with the United States Constitution, dealing with issues deal with the nation of Israel, the issues of Islam. And some of the stuff we do is, I don't know, controversial, some people say, but that makes life interesting. Hey, Squeaky, you're already being a villain in our studio here. Where's the W? We got the wrong chair here. But that's okay. So TrentoVision.tv, WNN 1470 on the radio side. We started back in September. We're only going to do this for a couple of months to inform the voters in Florida that we need another president. We didn't do a very good job at that, so we decided to stay on, to be obstructionists to this administration, because we believe this administration is going in the wrong direction for many reasons. So, but we are a call-in show, though we have our own thought process up here. We get into our own arguments and debates. We will listen to you folks out there, 888-565-1470. And we need to tell you about our good friend Steve and Brian in the morning, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. They start the day out. They give you brain food in the morning dealing with political issues. We pick it up 3 to 6 in the afternoon. If you can't watch all 3 hours, and I want to know why you can't watch all 3 hours. If you can't, you can go to the archives, which may be a little tricky on the new website, but that's okay. And the archives, every show is archived. We will have on the new website an index. So if you want to hear something about Hillary and Benghazi, we'll have an index for you to find. And we're going to start sending out little bits of videos.
Quit
And we got a
making
whole bunch of
promises
stuff.
that aren't there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. This is, I'm selling it, man. I'm selling it. Speaking of selling, the way we stay on the air is either through your generous donations. You can go to Trento. Is there a donate thing here? Does it
The
work?
donate button is prominent.
See if it works. See if it goes anywhere. If not, we're taking that website down real fast. Unless the villain is going to write us a gigantic check. You know, I don't know. Or you can go to The United West. That is our activism website, theunitedwest.org. You can go there and donate securely. Or if you're interested in us pushing your crap, we will sell your crap, your stuff, your product for you, whatever it may be, as long as it passes our rigorous consumer report-like investigation of your product.
We actually do investigate the products.
We do.
Yeah.
And so far, everything has passed.
Which means we
So-
get free stuff to try out.
And one of those free things is what?
Is really clean dishes.
Really clean dishes. We have that? Play that right now. Let's play that as we get rolling here. Okay, semi-setup. Really clean dishes is exactly what it says. It makes your dishes really clean.
Notice when you take your dishes out of the dishwasher, they aren't really clean? Can you see film on your glassware? You probably think it's your dishwasher, but it's not. It's your detergent. Really Clean is a dishwasher detergent booster, and it really works. Just add a Really Clean tablet along with your favorite detergent. Really Clean tablets are not...
Hey, not only do
That
we...
is so cool. I'm so impressed with us.
Not only do we help you get your dishes clean, but we will help you clean your brain as it relates to these national security and geopolitical issues. A little bit of background about myself. I direct the United West, and it's a counterterrorism educational organization. We write a lot and speak and do all those sort of things. But right now with Trento Vision, we're using this gigantic megaphone and video phone to communicate to more people every day, which is wonderful. I am honored to be one of the 19 authors of Sharia, The Threat to America. I hope we don't lose our girlfriend murder. Sharia, The Threat to America. What am I talking about here? I don't know if I like that book anymore.
Yeah, you didn't really write it.
I didn't really. I hate that book. 5 o'clock. I'll like. 5 o'clock. I'll
5
like that book.
5 o'clock will tell you more about the book if there is one.
So there is
the mystery book that's not really there.
The mystery book. So, but if you need a cup of coffee.
If you need a cup of coffee, you should drink Organo Gold coffee,
Yes.
which is masterful microbrewed coffee sold in individual boxes with individual packets. They're very easy
You
to
have the
make.
video ready?
It's a healthier way to drink coffee, brewed with mushroom powder.
Oh God!
Magical mushroom powder.
Have Abbey Road close by. You want to play that while you're drinking Organo Gold.
That's
Yeah.
really good. I like it.
It is good
Yeah,
coffee.
no, it's really tasty, and you can get coffee or latte or mocha or hot chocolate or tea.
A lot cheaper than that other unnamed S brand.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in that S store and you pour some hot coffee on yourself,
Yeah.
they need a lawyer, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, we have to
They
have
do.
we have to have a report though.
They
first.
do. No, you need a lawyer so you could go after them for
That's
the,
right.
for the damage that you did to yourself. And you would call your friend Peter Feynman at FeynmanLaw.com.
There you go.
And even though he is a business attorney, and it might not be his type of case, if it isn't his type of case, he will be able to
If it's a
refer
paying customer, if it's
you-
a paying customer, I think he will figure out.
He will be able to refer you to somebody who can help you. And right now, Peter is in North Carolina with his fellow Republicans. Peter is the national committeeman representing Florida to the RNC, and they are having their winter meeting in North Carolina, where they're going to figure out how to actually become Republicans again and maybe start winning some elections.
I don't know if that's going to happen.
And Peter will be on next week and tell us what they talked about.
And he's,
We
and
are
he's
so-
also the proud sponsor of the Vulture Report.
The Vulture Report.
Mike, how many vultures are flying outside of our studio today?
Okay, no idea.
I see one. I see
you? I
one.
don't see any.
I see two.
Yeah, they're early today.
The vultures are early,
Yeah.
but this Republican Party that it's just crumbling before our very eyes.
Yeah, really.
President Obama is just running roughshod over the Republican Party.
What
So-
are they thinking? I mean, well, we were all about Boehner yesterday.
Well, you know, the two-party system has worked for quite a while in the United States of America. And we had an opportunity, the United West, we had an opportunity to actually be at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, Tampa, Florida. We did 36 hours, 9 hours a day of radio, 4 days, for 4 days, and on Radio Row.
That's where
we,
you caught the bug.
we interviewed we interviewed a whole bunch of people. John Voight, there's a great interview with me and John Voight, which was actually a lot of fun. It was very spontaneous. I think it's on the United West website. And then just a few days later, in that same town, Charlotte, North Carolina, was the DNC.
Yeah.
Anybody here go to the DNC?
No.
Does anybody remember anything unique about the DNC?
I sure do,
What
Tom.
may that be?
Oh, well, they had to change their platform, didn't they? Because they took God and Jerusalem out of their platform. And then when somebody found out about it, like by actually reading it, they figured, uh-oh, we're getting some bad press about this, and we better put it back in.
Okay, so if you remember, and this all fits into context for what we're doing this first hour, folks, if you remember the Democrat National Convention, there was a little brouhaha on the floor about whether or not God, in the little name of Jerusalem, would be part of the platform of the Democrat Party, and in a unhidden, obvious scam that the mayor of Los Angeles, Antonio Villagrosa, said, okay, let's have ayes and nays, and the vote was from the floor,
It
no
was
God, no God,
It was
no
no
Jerusalem.
God and no Jerusalem, and they were booing.
Well, let's try that vote again, because I don't know if you guys heard what we're trying to do.
So they tried it again, and they
It
were
was
still
no
booing.
Again. It was no again.
And then he thought maybe the third time would be the charm.
And he was
And
reading
you
from the
could,
teleprompter.
he was reading it from the teleprompter. It was nay again.
And he goes,
And
oh,
he
the
goes,
ayes
and the
have
ayes
it.
have it, because that's
Magically.
what was on the teleprompter before the vote was even
Unbelievable.
recorded.
That was the first week of September.
Yeah.
But the issue for today in Boca Raton, which ties in directly to the first week in September 2012, occurred. The first event occurred when? June?
No, last March.
Last
It
March.
was
Okay.
last March with Susan Rice.
Now, let me bring you in. Was that in March? Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right. Our villain today.
It was past March.
Our villain today. It's almost a year ago. Our villain today, and we're gonna find out why you are the villain, is our very good friend Alan Bergstein. Hi, Alan. Welcome to Trento Vision.
Thanks
How
for
you doing?
having me. I appreciate it.
Good,
This
good,
is like
good.
home.
Isn't it like home?
It's like home.
That's good.
What do you got? 80 square feet? It's like home.
It's a little tight in here, especially when Mark spreads everything
like
out
my
all over the floor.
Hey, back off.
Oh, you're
All
good.
right.
You're good. You're good. You got the show. The show is on. We're happy.
There's no room for the buffet.
No, yes, I know.
I am the buffet.
You have snacks.
It's an intellectual buffet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
you need
buy
later.
that.
All right. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to look at what happened in March of 2012, and then we're going to give you a timeline of events that bring us right to this day today, 25 January 2013. And an extremely serious topic, and we're taking it very seriously because it is such. And as you know, we recognize Israel as a national security partner in a very dangerous part of the world, and we believe what's occurred is compromising the internal and external security apparatus of Israel. That's why we're dealing with this issue. Why don't you introduce what's going on and a little bit about your background? You're retired.
It was May 10th.
I'm retired. I'm a Brooklyn native, and I was a school principal in the South Bronx for many years.
School principal.
In the South Bronx.
Were you allowed to smack the kids around back then?
Oh, no, you don't touch
just the
kids.
teachers.
No.
Oh, just the teachers.
Especially if they're 6'4" and weigh 220 pounds when they're 13. You don't do that. No way.
Okay.
But you know what? The training that I received in the South Bronx was good for me, because right now I'm confronting people with the same mentality, the academic mentality of the kids that I work with in the South Bronx, unfortunately. And it's very difficult to change their minds. They happen to be Jews, and they happen to be radical leftists. And I think rather than first Jews and radical leftists, it's first radical leftists and then Jews. But the topic today that you brought me into was a rabbi in Boca Raton, Florida. He's the chief rabbi of a synagogue in Boca Raton, a very well-known synagogue, a very prominent synagogue. It's called B'nai Torah. It's in Boca Raton, Florida. And I have to preface this by saying that the B'nai Torah is not part of my condemnation of the rabbi, nor is the Jewish Federation. The Jewish Federation is the umbrella outfit in South Florida that controls the Jewish Community Relations Council in old age homes and schools. I have no venom for them at all. My concern is that he is still part of the Federation, and he is the chair of the Jewish Council, Jewish Community Relations Council, which is very prominent in Boca. For instance, if he speaks out as the head of the Jewish Community Relations Council, he carries weight. He carries tens of thousands of Jews with him. And people say, well, if the rabbi of Boca Raton, Florida, this heavy rabbi, supports the Palestinian claims, well, that's it. Let's stick with him. So I'm confronting him, and I have confronted him for years, and I pay the penalty for that. I pay the penalty for that in the Jewish community, but I'm willing to do that because I'm a Zionist, I'm pro-Israel, and basically I'm pro-America. In 2008...
You were also in the service.
Yeah, I served during the Korean War. Of course I did. And I was willing to give my life for this country. Whatever I was told to do, I would do. No questions asked, not like today. So back in 2008...
Before you do that, one point about
Sure.
the Federation system.
Yeah.
The United West, we developed a relationship with the Sarasota Manatee Federation about 3 or 4 years ago, and have a very close working relationship with them.
Yeah.
So the federations do amazing work, but really they're only as good as the leadership in these organizations.
Absolutely.
So the critiques today aren't for the organizations, it's
Not
for
at
a
all.
particular leader.
In fact, the Sarasota Federation, to their credit, passed the Fogel resolution, which says that they're not going to have anything to do with any group, any organization that is counter to Israel.
Oh, really? Okay.
Very
all right, so we'll get into all
Very
that.
important.
Which
All
ought
right.
to be basic.
Well,
We'll get into
it's
that.
basic to you, it's basic to me,
Yeah.
but to other people it's not basic. Well, nevertheless, in 2008, Rabbi Steinhardt invited then candidate Barack Obama to speak to his congregation.
2008.
2008.
Okay.
He spoke to his congregation. This is a politician who was running for office, and I understand so much about the vehemency of people who say separation of church and state. Nevertheless, they had Barack Obama speak as a candidate in the synagogue. I call it the shul. I'm old-fashioned. He spoke in the shul, and no Republican candidate was permitted to counter him before or after or during. It was just a single Democrat thing. So that woke up people a little bit. You know, I blinked my eyes a little bit and I say, wait, why didn't McCain speak or someone else like that? Then in March of 2000, in March of 2012, or May, whatever, early 2012, Susan Rice was given an opportunity to speak to the congregation and the community. It was an open meeting, free, no charge, and Susan Rice was permitted to speak.
Ambassador Susan Rice, United Nations
Ambassador to the United Nations, Susan Rice.
Who popped up on Benghazi back on September 16th. That's Susan Rice.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay.
She worked on Obama's campaign. She was a prominent Democrat. She was permitted to speak, and of course she was going to speak on the Israel issue. It was going to be non-confrontational. It was going to be non-political. But of course she was going to speak for Barack Obama. So a few of us got together, and we decided, let's mount some sort of a Martin Luther King-type protest. And when I tried to enter the synagogue, I was stopped by 4 sheriff's deputies, Palm Beach County deputies, and an officer of that synagogue.
Wait. You were going to protest.
Well,
oh, go ahead.
but you know, this was a planned thing. You know, it wasn't overt.
Breaking the law, or I mean, what was you were going to break the law?
No, not at all. No, it was planned as a Martin Luther King type protest. The people in the audience would stand up quietly, raise Israeli flags, and walk out, which is what they eventually did.
Okay.
However, when
it's America, you know.
Yeah, it's America. It's freedom. I mean, you can't anticipate. Any lawyer will tell you can't anticipate an act.
Right.
You can't. So when I approached the entrance to the synagogue, I was stopped by an official of the synagogue and 4 Palm Beach County sheriffs, and I was ordered off the premises. Was not permitted in the in the synagogue at all, and I objected. This was videotaped, and when I objected, the sheriff's deputy pulled out his handcuffs, and I said, "This is not for me," and I acquiesced, and I was followed off the premises by a police cruiser. I was not permitted in the synagogue for the first time in 79 years. I was not permitted in the synagogue. The rabbi is an unavowed Democrat supporter. He's an unavowed Democrat supporter. And he goes on not only to be a Democrat supporter, but he signed on a letter recently with a letter composed by the Rabbis for Human Rights, Americans for Peace Now, and J Street, 3 venomous anti-Israel Jewish groups that support every single Palestinian request. He signed on to this letter, and I'll read you part of the letter. And when I saw that letter, I wrote a response to it. Strangely enough, the Jewish Journal in Palm Beach County reported on this letter, but they didn't report that Rabbi David Steinhardt signed that letter. May I read part of that letter?
Sure. Yeah.
To the group?
Yeah.
It says, we write as American rabbis and cantors, so forth and so on. They're deeply committed. They believe that the ultimate safety and security of Israel as a Jewish state will depend on reaching a peace agreement that also allows Palestinians to live safely and securely in their own state. That implies that the Jews in Israel do not permit them to live safely and securely in their own states. It goes on to say the current situation in the occupied territories violates Palestinian human rights and undercuts the...
Did you say occupied territories?
Of course, we know that it's occupied territory in the eyes of the Palestinians, in the eyes of the European Union, in the eyes of the United Nations, in the eyes of Barack Obama.
This
but,
is Jewish land we're talking
yeah, basically it's disputed territories. They're disputed territories to be discussed and worked out.
Technically, yeah.
It says undercuts the very values on which Israel was founded: democracy, liberty, justice, and peace. Who is raining rockets on whom? is it the Palestinians raining rockets on Israel, or is it Israel raining rockets on the Palestinians? These statements are absolutely taken verbally from the Palestinian demands and from the Palestinian issues. It says, as American rabbis and cantors, these were 600 American rabbis and cantors, we also fear that construction in the areas damages the critical relationship between Israel and the United States. How does that have anything to do with Israel and the United States? Is it because Barack Obama says, give them these areas? So this is going to damage the relationship between Israel and the United States?
Let me get this right for everybody. It's 31 minutes past 3 o'clock on WNN 1470 if you're just getting into your automobile. We have 3 subjects today for you on TrentoVision.tv. Right now we're talking about a local problem with a prominent rabbi who's taking a position that you believe and others believe is detrimental to Jewish people and to the state of Israel. Second hour, a gentleman from Missouri is going to be Skyping in MD Alam, a Muslim leader, and he's putting together a million Muslim march, million Muslims marching on 9/11 on September 11th, 2013, on Ground Zero. So I don't know why or what the details are, but I saw his press conference in New York yesterday. I invited him on the show. He's coming on. Third hour, we'll have a Jireen, a woman who served in the Marines in Iraq, who wrote a fascinating article today on women serving in combat. We'll have her Skyping in. We'll also have a friend of ours, Dhruva, coming on from in Los Angeles, talking about fracking. The Fracking Nation. He went to the premiere of one of those movies.
He's also a pretty good videographer, too.
Very good at that. And we're going to do a little bit on, we're going to welcome John Kerry. So we're all going to be learning French, and welcome John. So we got a busy schedule today. If you want to get involved, 888-565-1470. Right now, Alan Bergstein is giving us a timeline on this critically important problem. Now, why is it so important here in South Florida? There's 500,000 Jewish people in the sound of our voice in South Florida. That's a significant part, and it's a huge fundraising Jewish machine for the Democrat Party. Yeah. So these are very important issues in terms of the future of the United States of America. We have a video that you put together that we'll play when you tell us to as you develop this.
My concern with this letter that this Rabbi Steinhardt signed, promulgated by J Street, Rabbis for Human Rights, and Americans for Peace Now, is a letter that takes the Palestinian viewpoint that Jerusalem is up for grabs, that building settlements in Jerusalem is evil and bad. Settlements. I don't remember, I was in Israel a couple of times, I don't remember women going and drawing water from a well. These are cities with buildings, glass buildings, with streets. If you go into the Palestinian areas, which I could not go into, dirt roads. What happened to the billions of the $1 trillion that was given to them? But my concern is not that. My concern is that this rabbi, a prominent rabbi of a huge synagogue, he is employed by the Jewish Community Relations Council, as I said, is sending propaganda to the Jewish community saying, support the Palestinians, support Barack Obama, support Susan Rice in the United Nations, and forget about Israel. I see nothing in this letter that says that the Israelis face rockets every single day, that they have in their new buildings, the new high-rises, all have bomb shelters mandated. For certificate of occupancy in Israel, you need a bomb shelter in your dwelling. We were in them.
We were in Israel last year, and we were in those bomb shelters. Yeah.
The Palestinians don't have bomb shelters because they don't care. The more civilians get killed in Palestine, the Palestinian areas, the better it is for their propaganda. My concern is that this rabbi is prominent. He holds a terrific post. He's the head of a great temple in Boca Raton, Florida, and he's a spokesperson for the Federation and the Jewish Community Relations Council. My job is to expose this guy and to let people know that he is a spokesperson not for Israel or for Israel's future or for the Jewish people. He's a spokesman for the radical elements of the Palestinians. That's it.
I have a quick question. Is the Hamas Charter states Israel will exist and continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it.
It's in the charter of the Palestinian Authority. It has never been removed.
It has never been removed.
Never been removed.
And so if their mission is to destroy the state of Israel, And also in the Hamas Charter, it says it wants to commit genocide on Jews. Now, just on the people itself.
Yeah.
So the Hamas Charter states it wants to remove Israel as a state, and it wants to kill Jews. How does any rabbi, regardless of politics altogether.
Politics is out of it.
Yeah. How could any rabbi stand by authority who wants to not only commit genocide on the people, but destroy Israel as a state? How does that happen?
Hold that. We got a couple of callers we got to bring in. Bring somebody in. We'll do that. Well, let's get a couple of callers, and we're fighting the time here too.
Okay, yeah, real quick, we have Vern on the line.
Vern, hi Vern. You're with Tom and everybody else in here. What are your thoughts?
Well,
you got to shut your
Vern,
radio.
if you're
Vern.
there, you have to turn the sound off on your radio.
I beat you to it.
Okay, thank
sounds
you.
good.
Yeah, this show is wonderful. I just picked it up quite by accident, and then I spotted the name of my pal here, Jude Eden, who will be on your show today, and she's a wonderful writer, conservative, Gyrene, I think you called her.
Yeah.
But she is a former Marine, and is closely identified with Ilario Fontano during his campaign here. So I'm just calling in with an attaboy on this show.
Oh.
I'm going to be glued to it from now on. I'm a conservative, Christian, Republican, retired writer in North Carolina, where we eat grits and have no snow. But I see you're looking off camera there. Are the crowds coming in?
Well, we had a special guest walk in, and
Dynamite.
hang on. Let me get this for the special guest. There we go. All right. Well, we thank you very much, Vern, for being a new viewer, new listener, and
Thank you.
Yeah, we
And
will
welcome.
we will have Jude later on for sure. I met her a couple of weeks ago in South Carolina. Very impressed, and she's the future of this great country. That's for sure.
You bet. That's for sure.
All right,
God bless
thank
you guys.
Take care. Next, we have Joe on the line.
Hi, Joe. You're with Tom and everybody else in this room.
And a whole packed room today.
Yeah.
Tom, as usual, we have the radio show on here in the background at the ZOA offices down here in Florida. And by all means, I just wanted to call and insert a 2-cent remark here as I'm listening to this really fantastic show you got going on today.
Okay.
Okay. What's your 2 cents?
Tom, we're very much in agreement with a lot of the points that Mr. Bergstein is really bringing up to the community here, particularly a sensitivity to the use of the expression occupation. Occupation is really just a nice way of trying to suggest that Israel stole something in a criminal sense from somebody else that doesn't belong to it and that it needs to return that. And that's certainly not the case. We understand that not only as a matter of biblical right, but certainly as a matter of legal right, there is no such thing as the occupation. It's a complete farce. And when folks are brought to the community, particularly administration officials, the United States President, an ambassador to the United Nations, and otherwise, who make use of this term occupation, who talk about Israel's territorial illegitimacy. This is language that is not only offensive, it's very much hurtful because, frankly, it plays right into the delegitimization of Israel.
Exactly.
In all senses. And so, the job that Mr. Bergstein is doing, frankly, he does serve as a very important watchman for the community who, is constantly on guard and making this point to the community. And so for that, frankly, the community owes Mr. Bergstein a debt of gratitude.
He's a villain. Come on, he's the villain.
Do you know what?
in
It
here.
just occurred to me. Did Alan used to have your job?
No.
No, it was a different job?
No, we don't know.
No?
We don't know.
Oh, okay.
don't
No, I don't have I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Anything else?
No, that's it. Want to wish everybody a good weekend, and just again wanted to thank you, Tom, of course, for everything that you do. Certainly a fantastic fighter for Israel and for the Jewish people, and all of our Christian Zionist allies, and CJ, of course, and Alan. Everybody should just keep on doing what you do so well, because frankly, we all owe you a debt of gratitude.
Well, stay tuned. Thank you. Stay tuned, because we're going to, Alan put together a very unique 2-minute video that succinctly states the problem with Rabbi David Steinhardt, and with some documentation. So we're going to show that in a couple of minutes. Let's take the next caller, and then we'll go from there.
The next caller is Judah. We have Judah on the line.
How you doing, Judah?
Yes, I want to first of all wish Alan and CJ a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All the Jewish listeners a Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Thank you, good Shabbos. Alan, first of all, I salute you, what you're doing. And I need to ask you, have you read Howard Grief, who is an attorney who lives in Jerusalem, his book, and I'm not entirely exact on the title, but it's The Borders of Israel According to International Law. Have you read that?
No, I haven't, but international law says, well, the United Nations doesn't even mention settlements. In the 1993 Oslo Accords, there was no such mention of settlements. This is an issue that Barack Obama brought up a couple of years ago. But no, I haven't read the book. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, he states, he brings down, documents that Judea and Samaria, and all of the land of Israel is under international law and other precedents, is not disputed territory. It clearly belongs to the Jews. Now, this was formulated by the Levy Committee, which the government of Israel has not yet, that report they have not yet released. Now, let me just suggest that I think Mr. Grief will be a great guest, and he can show you there was such an agreement known as the Anglo-American Convention, which was a Senate-ratified, U.S. Senate-ratified treaty and signed by the then President of the United States, which supports, and not only supported, but it went beyond the Balfour Declaration and said that all the land of Israel is to be the homeland of the Jews.
That's the San Remo Conference.
And so that's my only contention, is that we say that it's disputed territory. And these precedents go before UN Resolution 242. Ladies and gentlemen, have a very good weekend.
Thank you very much, Judah. We have a lot going on here.
Thank you, Judah. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for sure. And this issue can be expanded 47 different ways. We want to focus on Rabbi David Steinhardt. For the sake of the audience, 43 minutes past 3 o'clock right now, and our guest who just came in was with you, as was Mike, on that day when you tried to get into the synagogue.
I saw you getting kicked out.
So we have 3 people in here that got kicked out that day.
And one witness.
And one witness. Do you want to show your video right now?
Fine.
Okay. All right. Why don't you set it up? What are people going to see with this video?
Well, is this a video of the Susan Rice thing?
No, this is the one, your most recent one. What's the name of it?
It's Poor Representation.
Poor Representation. Right about it's all about David Steinhardt.
Well, it's going to it's going to basically expose what David Steinhardt stands for, Rabbi David Steinhardt stands for. It will show that the people who support Israel totally and completely, the Christians and Jews who are Zionists, here is a man who fights against them and supports the Islamic terror by not telling his people that there is such a thing as Islamic terror.
Okay, it's about a 2-minute video, and for those of you on the radio side, you can hear it very, very clearly. For those of you on TrentoVision.tv, you can see it. Take a look.
Meet David Steinhardt, a politician rabbi in Boca Raton, Florida, and chairman of the Southern Palm Beach County Federation's Jewish Community Relations Council, who advocates dividing the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem. On Friday, December 28, 2012, Rabbi Steinhardt signed on to a letter criticizing Israel for announcing the construction of Jewish homes in Jerusalem, its capital city. The letter was sponsored by radical left-wing organizations with ties to Obama and the anti-Israel community. Surprised? You shouldn't be. Rabbi Steinhardt has previously welcomed high-profile guests at his synagogue who delegitimize Israel by spreading the myth of occupation. The The Jewish people and the government of Israel will never divide our eternal capital. But that doesn't stop our enemies from trying to break our connection to Jerusalem.
Does that mean that you do not regard Jerusalem as the capital of Israel?
Jerusalem is a permanent status issue. It's got to be resolved through negotiations.
That seems to suggest that you do not regard Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Is that correct?
I have just spoken to this issue, and I have nothing further to say
Victoria Newland.
Hillary Clinton. هما أبدين.
We have a mufti here basically saying, go to hell, Jews.
Well, we have to understand that Hamas has joined Fatah now.
Yes.
The Gazans and the Palestinians
Tell the
are
Jewish
one.
Federation of Southern
Doesn't
Palm
bother
Beach
them.
County that Rabbi Steinhardt doesn't speak for your Jewish community. Demand that they support the Jewish people's rights to United Jerusalem and follow other federations by adopting the Fogel Pledge.
Okay, Alan, that's your video. Is that your narration voice? Is that your voice?
I wish I spoke that well.
Okay.
I'd be making a fortune.
It was me, Tom.
Yeah.
It was me, Tom.
Kind of an eerie voice there. But what is the bottom line at 47 minutes past 3 o'clock?
The bottom line is that
it's free country. This guy can say whatever he wants to, can't
listen,
he?
I fought for this country, so I am entitled to speak my piece.
And so is Steinhardt.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Remember, he works for a synagogue, which is a private business.
Okay.
They employ him. They could fire him. They pay him. He owes no allegiance to anyone but his synagogue. The Jewish Federation, if they continue to employ him as the head of the Jewish Community Relations Council, God bless them. But it will impact on them financially, and it will impact on them philosophically. Here is a man who speaks in dividing Jerusalem. Here's a man who is a rabbi who speaks from the pulpit. Here's a rabbi who denied Jews and Christian Zionists entry into his synagogue. Here is a man who does not seem to understand that Israel is the heart and soul of the Jewish people and Zionists. It's confusing that here is a man who should be so prominent in the community. When you sign on with J Street, when you sign on with Rabbis for Human Rights, when you sign on with Shalom Achshav, Peace Now, you sign on with the Jewish enemies of Israel. George Soros finances J Street. Muslim money finances J Street. This man is entitled to speak his piece, but I'm entitled to confront him, and I'm entitled to sit on the Jewish Community Relations Council Board as I do. I don't know how much longer I'll be on there, but that's neither here nor there. I think in Jewish law there's such a thing as speaking out your mind. We didn't do that in the 1930s. We have to do that now. So my call to the Jewish people is wake up. Understand that there are Jewish people who are fighting for the destruction of Israel, no matter how right they think they are, and you have a responsibility and a right to speak out. Basically, that's it.
Okay, we're with Alan Bergstein, who is viewed as the villain in this. I don't know if I would call him a villain. You're standing up for the principles of Israel. You're Jewish. CJ, what are your quick thoughts? And we'll get your thoughts in. We have a Christian visitor here who was denied entrance into that synagogue on that day.
One of the greatest friends of Israel.
So let me ask you this, Alan. I mean, do you want people to call the Jewish Federation and say, why is the JCRC headed by somebody who supports dividing Jerusalem and calls Israel an occupier?
Well, I'll speak for myself. If I were donating any amount of money, from $18, which is high, to thousands of dollars, I would speak to I would call the Federation. They may be closed now because it's Friday afternoon, and ask them, how could you permit a man like this to speak for you? He is impeding your work. He's destroying you from within. You surely cannot get any more donors because the idea of the Federation is to raise money for charitable endeavors. You lose money by having this guy. The only way you can gain money is by having Palestinian advocates and Muslims support you. But I would say, yeah, if you want, cool. It's up to you.
Okay. This is the Trento Vision show on the 25th of January, 3:50. We've got a few minutes left. And if you want to give us a call, 888-565-1470. Let me show you one thing. With all of this brouhaha, our good friend Mort Zart did a little picture. He put something together. He was furious with this. And this is a little rough that Mort put together. And I saw it, and I said, Mort, that's you're coming out pretty strong. It's you and me, Dave, baby. Together we can kill off Israel. It's got a picture of Dave Steinhardt and the president. And he said, well, Tom, this is how I feel. And then he wrote me a big, long letter. And I'll just read the end of it. He said, I ask you, is this the time to avoid extreme or offensive language? Anyone? I believe that not only is this the time to say precisely what we mean, it might well be the 11th hour of our freedom to do that. We might well be in the twilight of that freedom. Hold back my ass, said Mozart. He is furious with this situation, and we all know who Mort is. What are your thoughts, real fast, lady? Come on up here. But you can speak right from there. Here's a microphone. You want to speak? No, you don't want to? No, okay. She doesn't want to speak. She was there. What do you think of Mort's view?
You know what? This is the total freedom that we have in this country. Here you have a Jewish rabbi. He's entitled to speak to the Jewish community on behalf of the Palestinians who want Israel destroyed. He never talks about Hamas. He never talks about Fatah. And we have a guy by Mort Cuff who is entitled to put out this stuff. And I'm entitled to speak here. This is the freedom
on this show we
that
can do
we are fighting
Steinhardt,
for.
Rabbi Steinhardt, you're welcome to sit right there.
But
you
wait
can
a
come
second.
here. Would you debate him if I brought him in?
Absolutely. And if I wanted to walk into a synagogue and I wasn't permitted, and Christian zealots for Israel were not permitted to walk in because they did not want diversity of opinion. Jews love diversity of opinion. If you have two Jews, you have two different opinions.
Not anymore.
You got one, you got two different opinions.
Why weren't we permitted in? If the people on your show want to look at shame, go to shame, B'nai Torah, Boca Raton, and you see the video that I put out earlier this year about the shame of me standing there in the middle of the rain. I was sopping wet, and I was not permitted in. It was captured on video. This is, in Yiddish, you say it's a shanda. It's a total shame, and it's repugnant to me as an American citizen and as a Jew that I was not permitted into a synagogue. That's outrageous. And he got away with it.
Okay.
He got away with it.
Is this the first time ever?
It's very important to understand that, I'm pushing the clock here, it's very important to understand that this is not a vendetta on your part by any means.
No, it's education.
The community wants to go. We have somebody on hold, is there?
I'm an educator.
Who? Julie. Okay, let's bring Julie on real quick. Julie, you're with Tom and Alan and everybody else in here. Just what's your thoughts real quickly, please?
Well, first of all, I want to say that Alan is not a villain. He happens to be my hero.
Okay.
And my question is like this. I don't think that it has to do with the rabbi's right to speak on behalf of the Palestinians, although we do have that freedom in this country. I really think it has to do with the fact that there really is a terrible injustice going on where these anti-Israel people are rewriting history. There is an unbelievable double standard against Israel, and people don't know the truth because the media, the mainstream media, and this administration, and so many people are changing the history.
Okay, Julie, I'm gonna have to cut you off right there because we're against the clock.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, you can call back in the after the top of the hour here. But yeah, your point is well taken. That there's we tried. I mean, we were here trying to wake up the Jewish and Christian community to take a stand on these issues, and we had a
Palm
hard
Beach
time with that.
County, we did.
Yeah, we did wake up some people there. Alan, you got 30 seconds for a closing thought.
Listen. To the people who are watching, Christians, Jews, it's 1938 all over again. Except in 1938, there was no history of a Holocaust. We now have a history of the Holocaust. The Jews in Israel are facing it. 6 million more Jews will be destroyed if Hamas and Fatah gang up on Israel, together with Egypt, Muslim Brotherhood Egypt, and Assad and Iran. This country is doing nothing to stop Iran from getting an atomic weapon. You have a responsibility to speak out for your descendants, for your grandchildren and your children. Speak out and tell them that you will no longer stand for Israel being considered the villain, the demon in the Middle East. Israel is responsible for all of the problems in the Middle East. We hear that from our administration over and over again. We hear it from Hillary Clinton. Speak out. If Rabbi Steinhardt is your rabbi, speak out. Get rid of him. He works for you just like the custodian works for you. He's on a contract. Get him out. And if you give big bucks to the Federation, speak out and say that you do not want Rabbi Steinhardt representing the Jewish Community Relations Council in Boca Raton.
Okay, on that note,
I'll be fired.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you're not working for anybody anymore.
Yeah.
So thank you, Alan, for coming in, and everyone else. After the top of the hour, we're going to shift to the Muslims and MD Alam and a million Muslims marching on Ground Zero.
Keep up
Hang
the
in for
great
that
work,
one.
Alan. Keep up the great work.